Okay, Rabbi Isai, welcome back to Let's Use Night Shiur. Suddenly everyone's quiet. I like it like that. I have a lot of things to talk about today, but hopefully we'll try to cut it down. There's something really I want to talk about Chanukah and how it's connected to this week's parasha. The beginning of the sparks of Chanukah. Yalla, habibi. The beginning of sparks of Chanukah start in this week's parasha, and even some people say from Noah, but it's more shown over here. And I want to go through the kavanah, the thought process you're supposed to have while lighting the Hanukkah candles. But I think we're going to do it next week when it's a week closer to Hanukkah. Like that, people should be more using it in practical. The point of learning Torah is to make sure you do it in practical. To hear a shiur, to get inspired, and to go home and to continue living your day the same way is pure waste of time. Waste of time and waste of life. There's no point. Torah lishma means not only to do, not only to listen, but also to do. You have to do it. You learn in order to do. Okay, that's just a side point. Does anyone have any questions before we start besides politics? Any religious thing is something that's one you want to take out of your mind, and like this will connect to the shiur. Yes? No? Maybe? Everyone's looking at everyone else? No? We have someone from Lakewood here. He drove all the way from Lakewood. No? He's laughing. Okay, so let's go. We have a big question this week. I had this question for a very long time. And unfortunately, it was a stupid question. As you grow and you learn Torah, you realize that it's not even a question. It's students going on. Where was Yaakov Avinu's emunah in this whole process of him meeting his brother? If you look at the first aliyah, it's very interesting what happens. At the end of last week's parasha, Yaakov Avinu left Lavan's house without telling him, started to travel. Lavan got upset, he caught up to him, he said, why did you lie to me, you cheated, you took this and that, everything you have is really mine. Yaakov Avinu said, okay, so on and so forth, whatever the case is. Suddenly, Esav is coming. From where? So the Midrash says that Lavan sent a letter to Esav saying, Yaakov Avinu is coming, finish the job that I couldn't finish.
Wow.
Kill him. Finish him.
His whole family?
His uncle and father-in-law. Can you imagine? Finish him off. And the pasuk goes and says, "Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav el Esav achiv." And Yaakov Avinu sent messengers to Esav, his brother, to tell him that I'm coming on my way and I want to greet you. Now, Yaakov Avinu wasn't dumb. We're talking about Yaakov Avinu here. He knew really what Esav's all about. He knew that Esav still has his hatred on him because he took the Bechorot, he took the blessing of his father in Rama'ut, in like a trickery way. And he sent the messengers come back and they say, your brother's coming with 400 soldiers, whatever the Midrash says, 400 battalions, and each one had another 400. Basically, he was coming with a huge army. Against who? You know who?
Yaakov.
How many people were there?
A few family.
No. He had 12 kids. Binyamin wasn't born, but he had Dinah. 12 kids, him, and his 4 wives. How much is that?
They didn't have kids?
17 people. 7. He brought an army of 400,000 people. For how many? To fight against who? Mamish, nobody. 17 people. Okay. Yaakov Avinu, as the Torah says, he split the camps into 2. He took his money. How you were saying? Why do Jews like money? He took. See, we get from Yaakov Avinu. He took all of his sheep and his cattle, and he split it into 2. He said, if Esav is going to come and destroy this one, at least there's going to be left over that I can be able to live over there, and this and that, and so on and so forth. And always, it was always the trouble. Where's Yaakov Avinu's emunah? Right? This generation always says, have emunah. Just don't do nothing, and Hashem will help you. Right? Yaakov Avinu didn't do that. He prepared. He davened, he gave gifts, and he prepared for war. He prepared to fight. He said, if I need to fight, I'm going to have to fight. I'll fight, no problem. It's not a problem. So, the Ramban, Matok Midvash, his words, he says two pshats. The Ramban on this parasha says, first of all, Yaakov Avinu wasn't scared. Why? Because last week's parasha, in the beginning, what does Hashem promise Yaakov Avinu?
Protection.
I'll protect you. You don't have to worry.
I have a question.
So the Ramban says Yaakov Avinu wasn't worried about himself. He was doing all this preparation for his kids. Because the haftacha, the promise was to who?
To him.
To him and not to his kids.
But still.
Listen, first, I'm telling you what the Ramban says. Rabbeinu Bechai says something even more interesting. Rabbeinu Bechai says, that was the pirush of Rabbeinu Bechai. I'm going to get into the Ramban in a second. But let's see how exactly it went. You know, even to fight an enemy, you have to know how to fight him. You must. And everything is taught to us in the Torah. For example, what's a good liar? We learn from the spies. How do you get someone to believe your lie?
Convince him.
You say a little bit of the truth. When you say a little bit of truth, and then you put the lie in, you're very believable. That's what the spies did. The land is beautiful, good, but the land eats its inhabitants. And it's bad, and it's this, and it's that. And everyone got scared. Over here, how did Yaakov Avinu prepare for war? What did he do? He gave gifts. You know, sometimes you have to soften the heart. A normal person knows, let's say you want to get something from your parent or from your spouse. What do? You first take care of the stomach, right? Gosh, you take care of the stomach. You take care of the stomach, he eats, he's satisfied, he's okay, you sugar them up, and then suddenly, you ask. And what is he gonna, in a stomach that's already full, nothing to complain about. Even if he screams, his scream you know is fake. It's not even a real scream. His anger is not a real anger, like that. He's like, whatever, do whatever you want to do. So Yaakov Avinu played a mental tactical game. He gave gifts. He said, let me water down the heart of Esau. Even more. Not only did he give gifts, he played a psychological game on Esau. How? The messengers that went to Esau spoke in the third person out of respect. Your servant Yaakov told us to go to you, our master. He played that game. You see, and really, it wasn't really a game because the Mefarshim say that's the way he actually felt towards Esav. You have to understand something. This is a 101 lesson of raising good kids. If a father respects his wife and a mother respects her husband in front of the kids automatically will respect the parents. But if the father in front of the kids downgrades his own wife and later on says to his kids, you have to respect your mother, they will never respect her. And vice versa. Remember that klal. And we see this in this week's parasha. Yaakov Avinu taught us the lesson of don't be fake. Be ish emet. Be true. Be a truthful person. When you're going to achieve something, you have to go with emet. And that's exactly a very important klal. Oh, my kids don't listen to me. Rabbi, they blame the school. They blame the friends. They blame everyone besides themselves. Chonigav said, who's raising the kid? You raising the kid, so why are you blaming me? Because you messed up? Because you don't have that harmony in the house, you think it's everyone else's fault? Because the father and mother are fighting like cats and dogs, Tom and Jerry, and the kids are learning not to respect one another, and then you come and you fight with everyone else? No. Show the respect between each other, and automatically the respect will be there. So too, that's why I say dating for a very long time is very bad. And especially if you're dating in the secular world, which they're up there, their girls tuchas 24/7, and they don't know how to keep distance. So what happens? They get married, and the girl expects the guy to always be like that. And then when the guy says, "I have work, I have this, I have that," oh, but when we were dating, what happened? What do you mean? What happened?
Life happened.
Yeah, see, but you screwed yourself. That's why a person has to be hacham lev. He knows how to have distance. Oh, Rabbi, you're telling a man to have distance. Yes, I am. I am.
Calling me.
There's no calling. There's prioritize. A person has to learn how to prioritize his life. You need to prioritize whatever is a necessity. To go out every night with a girl, or to go even every other night. For what? For what? Where's the bardat? Where's the you're going to build a life. Building a life together means responsibility, means sacrifice, means understanding one another's ups and downs. How then are you then gonna relate? A guy calls me and says, "Listen, Rabbi, I'm in trouble." What happened? The girl I want to get married with, she's young, he's a little bit older than her. She wants a Rolex. And he said, "I'm not gonna get her this." And I told him, I said, "I know there's a bit of there's a maturity barrier." What's the maturity barrier? People think when they get married, it's I don't know, it's not only you own me, it's
Entitlement.
It's entitled of I can do whatever I want now. Not understanding not religion, but getting married is the exact opposite. It's full of sacrifice. It's not about me anymore. It's about you. It's not about you, but it's about me. It's each one has to be in consideration to the other. That's why I always tell people, if you marry someone that doesn't know how to put their priorities aside for the greater good of the family, you are finished. Haram, Allah alecha. You'll never have a penny to your name. And not a penny because you want to chill, but a penny because you have to pay your bills. A penny because you have rent. A penny, money because you need to buy food, you have to pay for tuition, you need to save a little bit. To go on vacation is very important. I'm a very big advocate for it. I don't believe in the generation of our parents and our grandparents that never went anywhere a day in their life and say, "Oh, I never enjoyed." That was your problem. Do you understand? How else are you going to achieve all? You can't get sugared in the beginning and then later expect that too. It doesn't happen. You struggle, you work, you build until you get to that certain circumstance that everything else doesn't make a difference. And then even if you want to give it the present, it's not the fact that what is the present, it's the fact that you thought of giving the present.
So
that's the kind of level. That's the kind of level of a girl you have to try to find, and vice versa. That's the kind of level a girl has to try to find that guy.
So he ain't changed up.
Who?
This guy.
No, there are rules of what you give before you get married. But there are certain desires people can have. You understand? To ask for something that's so high there, and something like one of my students said, I'm getting engaged, I want to get her a 5-carat ring. And I looked at him, I said, "You're not leaving space for a 10-year anniversary, for a 5-year anniversary. You're not leaving space for you to grow, because as you get married and you continue living, if you already gave everything in the beginning, then what do you have left to give later? You're shooting yourself in the foot. And what's the point? Because you want to do bodegi? Then that's not a marriage. That's heading for divorce."
Rabbi, I have a question.
Sure, my love.
So let's say like a girl, she's like before you get married.
Let's say, I don't understand the question in the beginning.
Hypothetically.
Okay, no.
So like you said, you brought an example. If a girl before marriage asks for a Rolex, like, is it over? Like,
No, it's not over.
why not? If a girl's asking for a Rolex, it's like,
Because no one's perfect.
Get a cardio bracelet.
no, I was thinking the fact
I'm
that
explaining to you. No one's perfect. What does that mean, no one's perfect? You have to communication is key.
Would I want to go for a girl that's thinking that it's okay not to ask, but like the fact that she's saying that.
That's not a problem. Again, Rabbi Akiva's wife also said it.
So what?
You don't learn the Gemara. Rabbi Akiva's wife back in the day, what was the style? To wear a head,
Band?
it's a headband that was gold that had the image of Yerushalayim. What was my Rabbi always told me, what was Rabbi Akiva's answer? He didn't say, "I have no money, why?" He said, "One day when I'll make sure I get it for you."
And he never did?
So of course he did. He got it for at the end, but later in their life. But what did Rabbi Akiva just achieve here? He achieved that he's not fighting with his wife. He achieved that he just acknowledged her feelings. He achieved now that she loves him because she knows that they can't afford it, but he's still thinking about it. Did he think about it or not? Who knows? But what did he achieve? The love. You understand? He achieved not that. Can you stop screaming like a barbarian? We're not Hamas over here. He achieved the understanding, very simple understanding. I care for your feelings. I acknowledge what you're saying, but understand the circumstance doesn't allow it. Now, let's say a girl says, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. Like how it
Gold
says,
digger.
again, please stop saying things that are, it's not nice to say stuff like that, right? Let's say a girl that comes and says, I want, or even a guy. There are many guys like that too. They get married to rich families and they expect, they expect the Megillah coming down. It's not only girls, a lot of guys, very materialistic men out there nowadays. We're in the generation that men think like women. That's what we're getting into. I'm not going to get into it right now. I don't want to get into these stuff right now. Those are different cheshbonot. Maybe talk behind the cameras and I'll teach you certain things. But I'm telling you that's very dangerous. Why? Because those are people that are not putting the priorities of family first. And the problem is because they're scared of struggle. I was sitting with my wife and we were talking about certain things and certain hashkafa ideologies of people, this generation, that generation, when we grew up, even though we're not too far in age, but the mentality is so different. It's like light years away. I can relate more with Avram Avinu's generation with this generation. I'm talking about close to 3,000 years ago. I can relate more with that generation than with this generation because I grew up in that kind of setting. It's just what it was. To understand, people are holding back certain shidduchim or certain ways of living because of fear of not being successful, but fear of actually working hard. How do you think people grow properly? How do you think there's an everlasting relationship? Everlasting relationship only comes through struggle between both parties. And through that struggle, if they don't give up and no matter what, they're there thick and thin, that's how it lasts forever. It doesn't last when one comes with a full package and says, don't worry, you can just ride on my success. Pirkei Avot says, Ahavat talui bedavar, batel hadavar, batel ahava. If you love someone because of a certain thing, take that thing out of the equation eventually. What happens to that love? No love. There's no love. Why? Because you love not the person, but you love that certain part of that equation. And love is needed. Love is not a goyish thing. People think if a man loves his wife, it's you're I don't know. It says in the last expression, in Yaakov ahav et Rachel. Yaakov loved Rachel. He loved her. What does that mean? I'm not talking about lust. I'm not talking about, excuse my French, but her body and her essence. And he wasn't talking. That's not true love. That's lust. Hopefully, you'll reach a certain point in your life, which is it's achievable and it's there to live in an everlasting life with your wife and look at her and say, "I actually love you for who you are."
It's beautiful.
That's the greatest thing in the world. And how come we don't talk about this or we don't say this? I don't know, because we live in a generation that everyone thinks people are crazy. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with a husband loving his wife. There's nothing wrong with a wife loving her husband. It's called loyalty. It's called trust. I know people that tell me they cannot even go for a weekend because they're scared they don't know what their wife is going to do. Or the opposite, I don't know what my husband's going to do. That's not love. That's being caged. That's not marriage. That's disgusting. Let's get back to the parsha. So again, Yaakov Avinu taught us a technique. He taught us how to work with our brains properly and to work with our tongues properly. Because if you work with your brain properly and your tongue properly, automatically all the problems usually get resolved. You have to learn to, I think it's, I don't know which fighting method it is that you use the other person's energy against them. Whatever it is, you don't have to start streaming different things.
Wait, so using what against them?
You use their own energy against them. Let's say someone wants to throw you a punch. Like, what?
Momentum.
That punch that he does, you don't block it. You lead that punch
To the other side?
to the other side, and the guy falls.
Yeah.
Or with a kick, or with that. What did you just do? You took his own power without wasting a breath, without struggling. You took it, and you just shoved him to the other side. How? You're strong? I'm not strong. I used his own power against him. And that's exactly what Yaakov Avinu did. He said, why should I'm not scared. Me scared of Esav? Im Lavan Garti. I lived with Lavan and I kept all the Torah. You're not worse than Lavan.
Are you serious?
Lavan was the mastermind of all evil. The mastermind of all evil. That was Lavan. His father-in-law. Can you imagine that? His own amak wanted to, and it is also his Torah, he was also his uncle. His own uncle gave him hell on the face of the earth. And still he said to Esav, regardless what you're going to do, you're not going to affect me. And the Torah goes that he bowed down to his brother, he gave him that respect that he wanted.
Why? Why did that do that? Someone was evil.
Because as evil as a person might be, you can't be a fool. You can't. You can't say, because I'm not going to put my ego down. You know, one of my Rebbeim told me something very interesting before I was getting married. He said, not always your wife is going to be right. And not always you're going to be right. But in their mind, they're always right. Sometimes to say you're right and you put your head down is for the greater good that things shouldn't overbubble. And in due time, they'll realize that they were wrong. That was one of the greatest advices I heard in my life. You don't need to show that you're right. You need to just play the game sometimes. A good marriage is sometimes the person is deaf, mute, and blind. This is the fact. This is the fact. Until you build a certain relationship with that person that you don't need to do any of these things. And you're not doing it because chas v'shalom they do the worst sins. I'm not talking about that. Most fights in the house are fights of kavod. Who's on top of who? It's an ego fight. I want you to picture all the arguments that you remember growing up. It was all the ego. Who's winning who? Who's on top of who? Who's greater than who? You got to make sure you don't reach to that thing. And that's why Yaakov Avinu did that. He gave Esav the kavod that he wanted. He gave it to him. At the end, did Esav kill him? No. Esav hugged him. The Midrash says he wanted to bite him, whatever the case is. But Esav still, he fell into that trap. But I want to get into another part of what I wanted to say, and which is a very, very interesting part. The Torah, in the middle of the story, stops and goes into a whole discourse between Yaakov Avinu and an angel. Yaakov Avinu forgot a couple of jugs on the other side of the river, and he told his wife and kids, I'm going back to get those jugs. B'chayecha, what? Yaakov Avinu, you couldn't afford a couple of ceramic jugs? What's the pshat? Where'd you go? Where are you going? You got to go back? You're Yaakov Avinu. You took most of Lavan's herd with you. You have everything. What? That's really bothering you? So I saw in the Hasidic Sfarim, first of all, what was that jug? That jug was the olive oil that Noach squeezed from the dove that brought the branch that had olives, that was then later found in the story of Hanukkah for the Hashmonaim to light the candles on Hanukkah. Wow.
What was that?
And that's why the Yevanim, the Greeks, I'm going to repeat it again. That's why the Yevanim didn't realize the seal. Because it wasn't the same seal. Because that was the seal of who? Noah. So remember when the Torah goes in Parshat Noah that he sent the raven, and the raven got jealous. He thought Noah was going to sleep with the female bird, and he went around the teva and came back, and then he took a Yonah, a dove, and he sent the dove, and the dove went and came back and went and brought an olive branch, and that olive branch had olives. Noah squeezed it and he put it in a jar and he gave it to his son Shem, and Shem all the way to Avraham Avinu, Avraham to Yitzhak, Yitzhak to Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu was always traveling with this.
For what purpose?
Because he knew there was going to be a holiday called Chanukah, and I have and I can prove this. I'm not going to get into it right now. I'm going to prove it to you maybe next year when we talk about Chanukah.
Yeah, but they could have just got the oil before all that happened.
I'm not gonna say right now.
Why did he have to do it from then?
Why, how, what, where, when? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. But this is what it was.
They didn't give all his belongings to Esau's son?
Eliphaz.
Okay, good. That's a nice thing. He gave that. Maybe Eliphaz was looking for money.
During the time that he was in Lavan's house.
It could be. Whatever the case is, this is what the Sfarim say. He took this jug and he went back. Why? Because he needed that the sparks of Chanukah should be lit. And who does he meet in the way? He meets a malach, not Gabriel. These are good angels. Esau, the Samachman Batzmo B'chodo.
So he fought him.
The Samachman. He went and he started fighting with Yaakov Avinu.
That's when he just died, right?
You guys, maybe you guys should sit here. I'm getting confused. You know? Yes. Samachman started fighting with Esau, or with Yaakov Avinu. And the fight goes and he hit him on the thigh and he did it, and whatever the case is. Let's get to the end of it. Yaakov Avinu, after the angel said, I have to go, I have to pray. The angel said, I'm talking about the angel that causes us to do sin. Said to Yaakov Avinu, you have to let me go. You won the fight. I gotta go. Why? I have to pray to Hashem. I also have my times I have to pray. You're saying, there's a saying in Russian, Saturdays were made for what? For work. If the angel of death, the one that you met almost twice, right? He comes and says, I have to pray. I gotta go. He prioritizes Hashem. Not too a little. He's so machmir that when he does his job to make a sin, he does it atachti dil. He does it and he smears us and he convinces us and he makes us feel bad about it and do it. Look how he serves Hashem. Right? The Samachman. He had time to go pray. And what's our excuse? What do you have to say? My bed is warm, Rabbi. I take off my bed sheet and I feel the cold rush.
Honestly.
Shh. That's what I feel. I'm lazy to go to minyan. Do you think the angel cares? He has to go pray. And what did he bless? What did he bless Yaakov Avinu? What did he bless Yaakov Avinu with?
No longer shall your name
He said, your name will not be Yaakov, it will be Yisrael. What kind of blessing is that? My name is Usher. Suddenly my name is going to be, I don't know, Moshe. What kind of name is that? What's the blessing? What's the pshat? So today we're going to differentiate the two names. We are the children of who? Am Yisrael. Why? Why did we get stuck with this name Yisrael? It's a good question. We live as Jews, what do we know? Right? We don't care about this, right? We care about physicality, material, how much bigger my stomach is getting, how much bigger my wallet's getting, who am I chilling with? Apul Gavzan, you say, right? All these nice gishmaka things. Rabbi, I don't want to be this, I want to do more in my life. I should be a barber forever, I can take my money and invest it, right? Ta'avot olam hazeh, gashmiyut, right? It's all good stuff. It's all needed. We need all of it. But we're forgetting the main key. What's that? Hashem. How can you live a life without a Kodesh Baruch Hu in it? It's so meaningless and idioticness. But today we're going to get into it. Yaakov and Israel. Let's first translate what's the name Yaakov and what means Israel. We have to understand the translation. Yaakov means Ekev. It comes from the word, what's Ekev?
Ankle. Eel.
The heel. The heel. Why? Because he was holding on to the heel of Esav when he was coming out. So we see from here that his hand came out first.
Rabbi, I had a creative shot on this.
1 second. Okay, go. I'll continue after. What's the shot?
The shot is when he was coming out of his stomach, his brother came out first.
Correct.
And he knew he was coming out first, but because what is his name, Yaakov, the heel, he was grabbing onto his brother's heel. Even though he knew that he was going to come out first, the lesson is that he didn't give up. Even though the fact that he knew he was coming out
Even
first.
though he knew Esav is going to come out first, he said, still I'm going to try.
Even though I'm going to fail, I'm just going to try.
Unbelievable. You should have told me this before. I would have integrated with the shiur. See, that's what happens when you run to get food and you know I'm first to come to the shiur. Now, let's continue. I'm sorry. I know it's going public, but
Always on speaker, you know?
it's okay. Rabbi Sai, it's good. Rabbi, you have to learn that Torah has to be taught with an excitement. Torah is not dull. It's not dull. Torah is with enthusiastic and showing. I hope one day to learn Gemara with you. It's gonna be, we're gonna have a learning, comedy, food, everything in one shiur. It's gonna be, that's, we should, wait, soon, it's like he's already talking about the food. Sushi, he's already making his zakat. I think you're salivating of the food that you could have. Did you bring him food?
No.
Did you call? He's with the suit, you should have told him to bring it. Okay, next part. Okay, let's get back. So Yaakov means what? The heel. The name Yaakov means the heel. The end. Israel, if you change the letters a little bit, means, you can change it to Rosh, Li Rosh. To, you are my head. How? How do you spell Israel? Yud, Shin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed. If you take the first and the last, that's Li, to me, Lamed, Yud. Rosh is spelled Resh, Aleph, Shin, means, to me you are my head. The Satan was telling Yaakov Avinu, I'm blessing you. From now on, you will always be the head. You will no more be the ankle.
Oh, wow.
So you changed him.
And if you take the letters of Israel, Yud is Yitzhak Avinu, Shin is Sarai Imenu, Resh is Rivka, Aleph is Abraham, and Lamed is Leah. And Yud can also be Yaakov or Israel.
That's insane.
So the angel was saying that really Klal Yisrael is the head of the whole world. But only when? When you beat the Satan. Yaakov, you just beat me. You beat me, right? You're the head. My head is off for you. And that's why Yaakov Avinu had no problem bowing down to Esav. Because he knew at this point, if he beat his Satan, he'll beat him too. We have to understand, in order to emulate, to be considered Bnei Israel, we have to devote our life to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Devoting our life doesn't mean now forgetting about the world and just learning 24/7. Devoting means anything I do should only be for the glorification of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name on this world. That means I'm going to be rich, and everyone here should be filthy rich.
Amen.
But it's not because I want to get 10 Rolexes, or I should get, what's this expensive watches out there? I don't know. AP, a good house, a good car. None of that. I should live simple, but my money should be to help the whole world.
Amen.
That's great richness. Because a person that's really wealthy knows he doesn't need to prove to the world. I don't need to go with expensive things. This doesn't mean nothing to me. What do I need to do? I need to give back. I need to build. A real rich person is a person that knows how to build, a person that knows how to give. That's the secret. Not how many hours you work, but how many hours you don't work.
Some people don't have the opportunity to give Rebbe. They give like whatever they could. That's
You understand? The key is not how much you should work, it's how less I should work. Because there's one thing that can never come back.
Time.
This is mine. So understand really what Yaakov Avinu was doing. He was building the blueprint of Klal Yisrael for generations. For generations to come. That's us. We all come from one man. Even if one down the line we have a grandfather, grandmother that was a convert somewhere down the line, we all integrated to Judaism. We're all Jews. We at the end have the bloodline of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. But don't forget, you also have the blood of Lavan. Be careful.
why.
Because our mothers come from whom?
Lavan.
If you don't keep the Torah, you know who you're going to inherit?
Lavan.
No one wants to be Lavan. Why was his name? You know what Lavan means?
White. White lie.
White. He's the biggest black person. He wasn't Kushi, he wasn't black. But metaphorically speaking, he was the most dirty, disgusting person in the world. He's the epitome of black. How come he called himself Lavan? It's always those people that look, I'm so good, I'm so righteous. Suddenly, 2 years down the line, he's in jail. For what? Fraud. Lavan, Zeti Lavan, What happened? What are you doing? Oh, I donated this shul and that shul. And suddenly, you see, is going all Averot. This is
And then
Lavan.
the pay would come along.
This is the epitome of black. The epitome of darkness. Better to be a ani marud. Better to be poor to the point you don't even have bread than never do something to transgress even one mitzvah in the Torah. Why? Because you come in this world clean and you have to die clean. That's the
How do you clean
pshat.
your
That's
own
the pshat. You have to live a righteous life. And when you're righteous, you attract righteousness. And when you attract righteousness, your life becomes righteous. That's Yaakov Avinu. That's Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is a nation of the head. We are the head. We're not the tail. And this is why Chanukah is very important. The Gdolei Olam said that Chanukah, even when Mashiach comes, Chanukah and Purim, but let's talk about Chanukah now, that holiday will be still considered as a must. Because Yaakov Avinu fought for that light. Who's those lights? What was that oil for? For our survival. Our survival. And the days of Chanukah, you're drawing lights and the not just forget lights. This is shtiyot. You're drawing the glorification and the revealment of godliness to this world from the highest levels that you don't even draw during the. Never. You're bringing them down. Most of the work of the year you're bringing up. Here you're bringing down. On Shabbat we work our way, we go up. On Yom Kippur we go up. On Hanukkah we're bringing down the light. We're bringing it down to us, to our family, to our existence.
Why do we do like that? What's the reason?
We'll talk about it. Not this week. Not this week. I'm gonna have to prepare most probably next week. I'm gonna have a board. We're gonna show you each level from which world to what world and what you have to think about, and so on and so forth. That's what I'm planning to do if I have enough time to prepare. But Rabotai, Hanukkah is coming. Even though none of you are chayav to light, your fathers have to light.
No matter what, they have to.
Your parents have to light. You're
My
Sfaradim.
father-
What if our family
2 hours behind though.
Our family divorced?
Sfaradim, the balabai, the head of the house lights, if you have a good situation, you're not reliant on your father's table, right? So most probably you guys have to light. with a beracha. I have to check.
When the father says, do it.
That's okay. If your father tells you to do it, you can do it 100%.
It has to do with
There are
like,
proper times, there are proper places to put the menorah. Hopefully, we'll go through certain things next week. And we have to understand that the holidays that are given to us, they weren't holidays. The holidays now. Right now, we're living it. Right now, in the epitome of all the garbage of the world that's going on, we have to right now be as strong, if not stronger than ever. And just to debunk, I was talking to one Arabi, Hashem should, I don't know, these people are so, it says in their Quran, Yimach Shemam Zihram, but I have to mention in their Quran, it says, we have to be politically correct too, that at the end of days, they also believe in Mashiach, you know that? They believe in Al-Masih is going to be really Yoshka and so on and so forth. We're not getting into the whole thing. They believe that at the end of days, the Jews will hide behind stones, and the stone will say,
Tree, no?
tree and stone, and will say, the servant of Allah. There is Al-Yahud behind me, Yahud, right? Al-Yahud is behind me, come and kill him, for they're not believers of Allah. I was listening to a lot of drashot of these people that if they just had a little seichel, they'll realize how each one is contradicting each other. They're, whatever the case is, they said that the Jews nowadays are not the biblical Jews. And those Jews are no more, or they're not here, and no one knows where they are, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So explain to me which Jews are going to be hiding behind stones. If biblical Jews don't exist anymore, who's hiding behind who? I'm a bit confused. Can someone explain this to me? I'm really confused because I'm learning their book.
Wait, Rabbi, I have a question.
It's my. But they hold they're European. They hold they're not Jewish, even though I'm not European.
Were we saying Muslims believe in that?
Yeah, they believe that the Jews nowadays are not the real Jews of Bnei Israel. Bnei Israel. Yeah, we're not the descendants of Israel. We're not. I don't know what we are. I'm confused. I have no bloodline to Ashkenazim.
Should we call like one of the guys?
I'm not. I'm pure. I have pure bloodline. I checked. A pure bloodline to that side of the world, to the east. And to the Mediterranean and all that. That's. I checked my family. I did the blood. 3 different swabs I did. The whole 9 yards I did. 3 different DNA places. I have nothing to do with Europe. Now, you just claimed that first of all there are no more real Al-Yahuds anymore.
What is
the
Al-Yahud?
Jews, Yehudi, Jugud, right? We're not real. That's the way the Muslims called us in Uzbekistan. What do you mean? It's not fine. They call us Jugud. Yimach Shemam Beit Zachram, right? They come and they say we're not. So explain to me, according to your book, right? Who's hiding behind what? If we're no more, can someone explain that? You can't explain it because it's all shtuyot. And the same mother of Yoshua, which is called Mary, and the same mother of Miriam and Viad, of Moshe Rabbeinu's sister, right? They called that the mother of Mary had a father named Aharon, and also Moshe Rabbeinu's the brother was Aaron. So I don't know which they made mistake when the author was writing it. He got confused between the mother of Yoshua and the sister of Moshe Rabbeinu. Like it's black and white. Like.
You're reading their book?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't suggest it to people. I suggest it to myself because from years of learning and experiencing and knowing and seeing their things, you see how it's full of contradictions, full of shtiyot, full of things that are unexplainable. They have years that are mistaken. They have names that are mistaken. They have basic storyline. And what's their excuse? You know their excuse is the Torah was tampered with. Someone down the line, and the Quran doesn't say that. You know who said that? Sheikh Mizrahi. There was a person called Sheikh Mizrahi, Imam Mizrahi. The Quran doesn't say. I don't know when they want to believe. It's not even in the Hadith. That's the funny thing. That's their Torah Shabbal Peh actually. When they want to believe one thing, when Muhammad himself said you can use the Torah, he told the Jews you can use the Torah to do your own judgment. You don't need to follow the Quran. So I'm confused. I'm really confused. I'm confused. Can we? Is it good? Is it not good? We have Torahs from that time. It's the same Torah that we use now. I'm a bit confused. I'm really lost. So if anyone on the thing that knows the answer, please let me know. You can always email me. You can find my email. You can call me, or you can leave a message. And if not, you can go to the email of this channel that's on, and you can send an email to whatever it's connected to, and I have no problem finding out the answer, because I did not grow up in that understanding. I grew up in the emet, which means truth, and I want to know the truth. And if I'm wrong in any way, shape, or form, I have no problem doing Allahu Akbar. But I know it's shtuyot mitzvaniot, it's full of nonsense, and I'll tell you why I know it's nonsense. We have a Mesorah, a tradition from the Torah. And the Mesorah is very simple. The whole world does not have to be Jewish. We need goyim. You have to understand something. Being a Gentile, nothing wrong with being a goy. As long as you keep the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach, the 7 laws that you have. Very simple. According to Islam and to Christianity, the whole world has to accept their religion.
Both Christians also.
Christians also hold that.
I mean, they have to.
The whole world either has to be Islam and follow Sharia after, or the whole world has to believe in Yoshka Poshka and that he's the last the messenger and so on and so forth. Judaism is not like that. If Judaism would be allowed to preach, we're not allowed. We're not allowed to convert people. If they want, the Gemara says we have to push them as much as possible until they say, no, I want to convert. Then you could convert them. But a Jew cannot go out and start fighting and saying, oh, Judaism is right. And you can fight and show how theirs is not good, but in no way can you go and try to convert. If we would be able to do that, the whole world would be Jewish by now. But you know why we can't do that? Because we understand in something called nishamot, souls. And we understand there's an idea of something called gilgulim, reincarnations. Muslims don't believe in reincarnations, just to let you know.
That's a fact?
It's a fact. They don't believe in it. And we can go into these details from today till tomorrow, but they have such stirot, such basic contradictions. Whenever they want to use the Torah as their proof, they use it with no problem. Whenever it's uncomfortable, they're like, you know what they are? They're like a bad relationship. You know? Husband and wife fighting. Suddenly they love each other, and the next second they hate each other, and whenever they want to get their way out, they use an excuse, but you did this, but I did this, and that's basically what they are. Whenever they want to use the Torah as a proof, they try to use it. Whenever it's uncomfortable for them, it's corrupted. Majnun, you crazy? It's either you believe or you don't believe. You can't pick. You can't pick. One or the other. So Rabbi Isai, I'm not here to pick a fight. My teacher in high school told me something very, very simple. You cannot beat the stupid. Someone that's a tupoy, you cannot argue with him. He's a tupoy. What are you going to fight with him about? There's nothing to fight. You can have all the degrees from Harvard, from Columbia, from Yale, from wherever you want. But if you're stubborn, you're not willing to understand and to look at basic black and white fact, you will never learn. You will never understand.
So should deal with
nothing. You have to live your life as a Yehudi.
Ignore them.
You have to live your life as a Yehudi, as a Jew. A Jew means someone that keeps Taryag mitzvot, 613 mitzvot. And nowadays, what do we have? Maybe 200, not even, maybe 80. We have to keep, we live, we be happy. And you know what? Halavai v'halavai. How the Beit Yosef said, I wish I would be murdered for being a Jew. I wish. Because that is the greatest reward a man can get on this earth. To die, not because you believe, because you know. We Jews cherish life. We cherish it. We don't cherish death. Their greatest olam haba is what? 72 zonot. What are the women? I want to know, what's the woman's olam haba in Islam? What, they become virgins all over again? Like, I don't have. I'm a bit confused.
Where did you even come from, Rabbi?
I'm a bit lost. Their olam haba is woman. That's such a physical ta'ava. It's such a like humane desire. That's what you have up there. That is your greatest thing. It disgusts me. It shows me how it's so man-made. It's beyond even understanding. A person has to be strong. He shouldn't fall into the shtuyot of the world. He should stop listening to the news. It doesn't do good. Live your life. Serve Hashem. Hashem wants us to be happy. He wants us to be besimcha. He wants us to understand we have to serve Him, and only through that will come our salvation. Because serving Him in essence is really helping us. He's atzmut, He's everything. He created this imperfect world just for you to feel that you need to be here. You doing what you have to do is a fulfillment in you. That's the pshat. Let's be the Rosh, like Yaakov Avinu was named in this week's parasha. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen. Amen.